Do you know have you heard of the Muppets? And they used to have like a little person singing. Do 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 do.
Pecha Kucha.
Do 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 do.
Pecha Kucha.
Do 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 do. Help them out.
Pecha Kucha is a Japanese word for chit-chat and is the name of a presentation format created in Japan in 2003 by Astrid Klein and Mark Dytham, two architects looking for a way people could share their work quickly and simply in public. Since then, the idea has spread to over 700 cities around the world. At every Pecha Kucha night, creative thinkers come together and share their ideas with only 20 images shown for 20 seconds each. Pecha Kucha, a fast, fun format. Find a location, join the conversation.
So when most people think about French Canada, or le Canada français, they think about the beautiful province of Quebec. However, Ontario, the province to the west of Quebec, has been home to the second largest Francophone community in the country for the last 400 years. And Francophone student success has recently become part of the public discourse, finally. And so as a Franco-Ontarian myself, and as a student affairs practitioner at an institution with a bilingual mandate, that is to deliver French language programs, I've been really interested in how we can better support the success of Franco-Ontarian students in a minority setting. And so as I go through this, I invite you to think about how you might be able to support the linguistic minorities on your campuses. So why is this important? When asked to describe her student experience, a Francophone student on a bilingual campus had this to say. She said, "There is empathy for Anglophone students because they are the majority, but not for Francophones. There is a lack of reciprocity. The dynamic of student life is English, and I am not able to exist in my own language on your campus." I thought to myself, what are we doing wrong? Then I saw a picture of Einstein on the wall, and it reminded me that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, and I realized that our campus was doing just that. So instead of doing another linguistic assessment of Francophone student populations and pumping out a bunch of Francophone programs, I looked to the linguistic needs of the perceived assimilators, the Anglophone population, for new gaps and new opportunities. And what I realized is that not only was there a lack of cultural linguistic supports for Franco-Ontarians, but there was the same lack of support for French language learners, which we call Francophiles. They both had a desire to show up in French on campus, yet did not feel they were supported to do so. So that was the opportunity. So think about the common mutually beneficial needs culturally, socially, that the groups you have on your campus have that you could relate them to. This will be an odd concept to digest, but what I've found is that supporting the minority groups actually involves supporting the majority groups. I was focusing all my efforts on the Francophone population, the 20%, but then I flipped my mind a bit and I asked, what if we could improve the ability of the other 80% dominant to live in French as well? That would transform student life. That would make it more inclusive and less assimilation, right, would happen. Don't get me wrong. This isn't a one-size-fits-all solution for all Franco-Ontarians. There's actually a Francophone student movement in Ontario that is trying to build a Francophone university, and I support that. But there are also Francophones that want to study at a bilingual institution, and we need to do a good job to show them that they can thrive in that institution as well. So how do we do that? Student affairs professionals know from the literature that if we align the vision, mission, student characteristics programs and services around bilingual learning outcomes, we would succeed, right? So my job is to organize the campus in a way that would reach those outcomes. But it's easier said than done. The reality is that Francophones believe they are not Anglophone enough to participate in student life, and Anglophones believe that they are not Francophone enough to Frenchify student life. So they stick to what they know, and student life remains Anglophone, and Francophone individuals feel marginalized. And we know that the presence of Francophone and Francophiles on campus doesn't make it a French language learning community. That diversity requires some intentional social engineering, which I will call the Frenchification of higher education, like the internationalization of higher education. So in the next few slides, I'll present a framework using K-12 student success theory in French language schools and SA theory. So the first piece of this theory, 7 parts, is identity development. We need to think about inviting the majority group to live aspects of the minority reality as much as we need to enable the minority group to step into themselves. It's not just about pouring money into new French language programs. We need to be intentional and nurture the linguistic and cultural identity development of both groups. The second piece is cultural sense of belonging. One of the finest ways to promote personal identity development is to build that bilingual group identity development, because you become your associations. So it's imperative for us to structure positive peer interactions between and within Francophone and Francophile students, where they are most likely to interact, perhaps at Frosh Week. The The third piece is speaking, sharing, and articulating one's process of identity development. That can be a powerful vehicle, articulating one's identity development, for self-actualization, but doing it in a second language can also build our relationship with that language. The fourth piece is mentoring. Mentoring can really stimulate a student's sense of purpose and intrinsic motivation, which is a criteria in student success. So we should tap into Anglophone and Francophone mentors who work in the bilingual fields to connect them with students. And we should also reach out to Francophone alumni and connect them with current Francophone students. The fifth piece is peer support. We need to create Francophone support groups on the one hand, and then Francophile support groups on the other hand, because they will run into shipwrecks, dissonance, as they move through their processes of becoming. Certain Francophones in minority settings feel that it's difficult to come out of the Francophone closet because of fear of being judged. For example, this is the first time that I present myself as a Franco-Ontarian to a non-Franco-Ontarian crowd, so I guess I'm stepping out of the Franco-Ontarian closet as well. The next piece here is assessment, our favorite pillar, right? There's virtually no research on this topic, and assessment would provide not only the basis to improve Francophone student success, but also to develop a research base for future practice. The last piece is accountability. This is similar to encouraging the development of integrity from Chickering and Racer's 7 vectors. So we have to find ways to enable Franco-Ontarians to become proud of their heritage and Francophiles to become proud of their bilingual nature. That way they'll be stimulated to have more powerful interpersonal and intercultural interactions on their peers, creating a truly bilingual student experience. So I was inspired by Freire as well, from the Pedagogy of the Oppressed, who said that he explained that minority groups require specific educational interventions to achieve self-awareness and emancipation. But he also talked about the importance of dialogue with individuals from the dominant community, right, who can become allies. And in our case, that dominant community is Francophile groups. Both communities require transformation. So the impact on our student success is that, yes, it can be parceled to meet the needs of specific groups. For example, the creation of an Office of of Francophone Affairs. And while there is value in this, we need to be able to engage the whole campus to adopt certain lenses, whether it be Frenchification or other. So at the end of the day, I've found that supporting Francophone student success is as much about supporting Francophile students, the dominant group, as it is about supporting Francophones. So I hope you can give some thought to how you may be able to help transform the minority groups on your campuses by nurturing the cultural, social, linguistics capacities of the dominant majority. Thank you.